Hello and welcome to the cryptocurrency news channel. So, I was wrong. I thought inflation would actually be lower than projected at around 8.5, but it was actually 9.1, which is higher than projected. And moreover, core CPI, which is the inflation without gas and food, actually rose to 5.9, up from a projected 5.7. I thought that would actually be lower too. The lower gas prices towards the end of June was not enough to offset the increase from the beginning of June. We will see July numbers most likely come down because July gas prices are significantly lower than June, and energy prices are actually included in that 9.1. So I expect that to retreat next month. However, this is larger than expected, and the markets haven't really reacted yet. And you might actually be seeing a big dump towards the rest of the week because sometimes there's a delayed reaction. Because the stock markets haven't really reacted to this, you can see the Dow is barely down. NASDAQ is actually up 42. I don't know, unless they're really saying, yay, it's not actually 10%, which is somewhat doubtful. But so I think it's a delayed reaction. Bitcoin is actually at 19.8. So Bitcoin hasn't really reacted either because the rest of the market hasn't reacted. But the consumer pressures are going to actually stir up fear for a longer, more sustained recession in the future. Also, Chevron CEO, which you have to take his words with a bit of salt because he is the CEO of one of those evil gas companies that want to rip consumers off, says like the supply of energy is still very, very tight. And generally, the drop in prices is due to demand destruction, which means you can only charge so much for gas before people start driving less. And people have actually started driving less. I've been controlling my driving just a little bit more, like cutting my driving by about 30%, maybe like instead of gassing up every 9 days, I gas up every 12, 13, maybe 2 weeks. So, you can see that Americans starting to adjust and the rest of the world starting to adjust as well. Costs also surged for gasoline, groceries, rent, and dental care. And adjusted for inflation, workers' hourly wages fell 1% during the month and are down 3.6% from a year ago. So people are earning less according to the inflation, so they can buy less stuff. Now, that only really hurts the people at the bottom much more than people in the middle or people at the top, because people at the top don't really care about that. They have plenty of money. People in the middle aren't hurt as bad because they can afford stuff, and people at the bottom are going to be hurt the most because they're at the biggest financial crunch. But I thought this would actually be much lower, but it actually did go much higher, which means we'll probably see a bigger drop next month due to gas prices actually continuing to drop. I hope it does actually continue to drop over the summer, and people will actually start either taking public transportation or they'll just keep driving less and less as the price of things go up and they can't afford as much. I'm not really sure if people are going to continue to take vacations and all that stuff. And but the heat wave in the south isn't really helping it because people actually have to cool their homes and stuff. So we'll actually see that Bitcoin hash rate in the United States might actually go down some because realistically people can't afford to run those machines at such high energy prices. I think like we're getting to the point where the cost to mine a Bitcoin is actually greater than the cost of actually a Bitcoin you put on for sale. So my guess is that like tomorrow and the rest of the week we might see some of a response from the stock market. If we drop 600-700 points tomorrow, I would not be surprised. If crypto drops to 18,000-17,000 tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, I really wouldn't be surprised at all. So I definitely keep that USDC and USDT very, very close and see for a better opportunity to buy in the upcoming days, because I do think the market will continue to react to this maybe this week, maybe next week, maybe over the weekend. But the numbers are not good, and they're actually much worse than I had expected. I do expect next month to be much better, so I do expect at least a temporary bottoming out, if not a permanent bottoming out in July. There is a scare for the winter because Russia has cut off Nord 1 from Europe, and Europe is going to need that gas so that the energy prices, unless they find another source very, very quickly, are going to actually go up during the winter. Now, the other thing is like the gas executives like really high gas prices, so they might try to squeeze us. There is a lot of federal land that's actually available for drilling, but a lot of those energy companies will not actually drill unless you give them tax incentives, because they would, rather than serving the country, they would rather basically use that money to buy back shares. And using that money to buy back shares to profit their investors. So for corporates, it's basically investors first, then like basically the needs of society. It's never really been the other way around for the fat cats. So essentially, we could have a crunch in the winter, and the drop in gas prices could actually be temporary depending on how things go. The war is not over, and it won't be over for quite some time. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you, and have a nice day.